Welcome to NDTR Spotlight, a show where we highlight former and current NDTRs. An NDTR, if you don't know, stands for Nutritionist Diet Technician Registered. They also go by the credential DTR, which stands for Diet Technician Registered. In order to become an NDTR, you have to graduate from an accredited program, take an exam, and participate in continual education. Welcome to NDTR Spotlight. I'm your host, Marie Lorraine. Today is our pause and review. We interviewed 4 awesome NDTRs and 3 NDTRs, 1 dietitian this last month, and we're going to pause and pick out some highlights from their interviews and hopefully spike your interest to listen to the whole interviews or just hear a little bit of their story. So we're going to start with Brooke. Brooke is a registered dietitian and she does career coaching for dietitians and DTR. So I wanted to have her on the podcast to show what she's doing to help promote the careers of NDTRs. And so this first clip, she talks about personal branding and the importance of that and keeping that in your mindset when you're posting on Instagram or online or anything of those regards. So let's check out what she has to say about personal branding.
We are a really small community. So everything you put out into the universe daily, it's affecting your personal brand in a positive, neutral, or negative way. So you just have to think, what kind of image am I putting out into the universe? And how, is that going to help me get my next position, my next job, advance my career overall?
This next clip is also from Brooke, and it's specifically for LinkedIn. I don't know about you, but I have been told a lot of times in undergrad to make a LinkedIn, and I didn't really start using it until recently with NDTR Spotlight and saw the value in it. So I wanted to hear what Brooke's perspective was on LinkedIn, and here are her thoughts on the social media platform.
LinkedIn has been an amazing platform to connect with other individuals in, again, nutrition dietetics, even outside of our area of practice. Maybe you can explore jobs outside of our nutrition dietetics realm, if that's also within your passion. So I've even been offered jobs through LinkedIn or contacted, please, apply for this job. So it's really just, again, setting up your personal brand on LinkedIn. What does that LinkedIn banner look like? So the banner is kind of like the spot above your profile photo, and you can personalize it. So you can make a fun photo, you can put a personal brand logo there, just whatever is going to captivate that person to draw them in to learn more about you and your professional brand and your experience and your skills. So setting up LinkedIn to showcase, again, your value, because showcasing your value is really important, is a great way to network, explore job opportunities.
All right, we're going to take a switch over to a DTR, Sammy, who is the owner of Beta Carotene. She does so many awesome things, clinical, private practice, and she has especially in substance abuse nutrition. So in this next clip, she's going to talk a little bit about what got her interested in substance abuse and how nutrition plays a role in that.
So what I did was I helped develop nutrition education for opioid abuse. And basically I would educate a group of patients that were in detox at this time. They're going through intensive outpatient programs where, they're learning all kinds of things about withdrawing, detoxing, and, trying to pursue life without drugs. And one of those things is nutrition. So I became passionate about this because my brother became he was addicted to heroin at some point, and he's clean. He's doing great. He's, working, doing good. So when I got this job, I took over this, it's just like a substance abuse hospital. And I see these patients daily. A lot of them have malnourishment because they're not eating, because they're, drinking, or they're taking their drugs, and they've experienced a lot of weight loss. So with that, I usually do not use a supplement, because I did find out during my corrections experience that a lot of times they take like Ensure, Boost, whatever you call it, wherever you are, they take it and they sell it on the streets.
So as I mentioned before, Sammy has a coaching business where she works with clients, with women specifically. And I asked her specifically how she decided her pricing in the beginning of starting her business. And in this next clip, she kind of explains the process.
All that process go?
A lot of research. So went on Instagram, went on Facebook, kind of just started searching. I will definitely say at the beginning, I undercharged myself because once I started looking at other diet techs and stuff like that, and their pricing and what they were providing and what I'm providing, I was like, oh, wow, I'm really undercharging and undervaluing myself. So that's when I was like, oh, I can charge a little bit more, you know? So it took a lot of research.
And now we're going to switch it over to Sonia. Sonia has her own private practice that she started when she found that she didn't want to fit into that 9-to-5 life because it did not work with her lifestyle as a mom, as a wife. And so she started her own private practice. And she's also a health coach. So in this next clip, she talks about the benefits of having that credential and using it alongside her DTR credential.
It's actually grown my business dramatically. That was this particular opportunity kind of came after I started my business. When I started my business, people were coming in trickling slowly but surely. But one of the things I kept seeing with my clients was they didn't, in a life society that we live in right now, everything's busy, busy, busy. Everyone's busy, right? No one has time to do anything. And so when I would sit down and I would do the work with them and I'd do the meal planning and I'd set them all up, they were like, oh, I don't really have time to do all that. I don't have time to do this cooking. I don't have time to do that. Do you have something else? Well, lo and behold, throughout the process, my professor reached out to me and said, hey, this particular organization is looking for health coaches. Would you be interested? You'd be able to work from home and it's your own business. And I was like, well, let me look into them. So I kind of looked into them and it turned out to be a blessing for me because this particular program that certified me as a health coach, it allows me to provide my coaching for free to them because the company pays me. So I get to give them all the knowledge I've gained through my NDTR degree, but the company provides them with the food for the most part.
Our next two clips are from Irene. She runs Nutrition by Irene. And the first clip, she had experience working in WIC, and she had something called secondary trauma from working with the population. And she kind of talks a little bit about what that was like for her. And I think it's relevant and something to talk about because in some situations working as an NDTR, you can hear a lot of hard stories with food insecurity and just not having access to healthcare. And Irene shares a little bit of that story and the pressure and the weight that it had on her when she was working at WIC.
So I was like, I just want to, show that like I know this dynamic exists. I know like why it exists and it's totally valid. And if I could like just be somebody that they could trust and talk to, I felt like that was everything. But at the same time, that kind of opened up like the floodgates of like them telling me, stories and trauma that they've been through. So I ended up, there's something called like secondary trauma that happens with like caretaking professions a lot, where it's like the trauma is passed from the person to you, to like the provider. And then you kind of like carry that around with you. And if you don't like learn how to kind of like release those things, then it can just be like really heavy and really draining. So.
And our last clip from Irene as well. And she started her private practice. But before she really dove into starting her private practice, she did her research, which was very important. And the first part of her research was seeing what the difference was between a DTR and a dietitian and what they can do in the scope of practice. So Irene talks a little bit about her search process and where she found really informative information on knowing what she could do in her private practice as a DTR.
Yeah, I did a ton of research on like the scope of practice of an NDTR, which I feel like a lot of people are not super aware of. Like even nutrition professionals are not super aware of like what a DTR can do. And I found like with that research, I was like, I can do a lot. Like DTRs can do so much. Like, because I just wanted to make sure, like, before I started a private practice, is this something that I'm like that's within my credential to be able to counsel people, and like where does that like scope of practice stop? Just so I can like make sure that if I need to refer somebody to an RD, that I'm doing that at like the appropriate times. So I did all that research on I think on like the Eat Right Pro or Eat Right website. Yeah, and there's like tons of resources. Like if you dig deep, there's like all these articles and that they've put out that explain very like detailed and specifically what the difference between an RD and a DTR is.
Those are all of our highlights from the interviews. If any of these interviews stood out to you and you didn't get a chance to watch them, now is your chance to take a look at them. You can listen to them on Spotify or Anchor or watch them on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to either the podcast sites or the YouTube channel so you're updated whenever we release a new interview. And we have interviewed 20 DTRs, former, current, and also some special dietitian guests. So with that being said, we are going to take a 2 to 3 week break to kind of regroup and go into season 2. Our goal for NDTR Spotlight is to interview at least 100 DTRs. So every 20 is a new season, pausing and just refocusing and getting more great interviews for you guys to watch and hopefully learn from and be encouraged by. Thank you so much for your watching, liking, and your comments, reaching out, saying that this was helpful or encouraging to you. I really appreciate all of those comments, and it definitely encourages me to keep going and keep reaching out to awesome DTRs who are doing great things as dietitians in this field of nutrition and dietetics. All right, we will see you in a few weeks. Bye.